Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I'm Vulkan, and today marks the 1 week milestone for Tower of Fantasy launch. Now it's crazy. Time flies. I can't believe it's already been a week. So what we're gonna do today is make a brand new tier list to go through all of the things that we've learned about each character through this first week of launch. Now my last tier list was pre-launch. It took a lot of the CBT stuff, it took a lot of the Chinese client stuff, kind of combined it together to create this sort of directionally appropriate tier list. And for the most part, I feel pretty confident still in that one, but there were some characters that were severely misplaced. And because of that, we're making an updated one because I don't want to give you guys wrong information. So let's talk about how each character stacks up. So we're going to get things kicked off with the SRs. Now I'm going to put a big disclaimer here. SRs are always outclassed by SSRs. Always. In terms of their damage output, in terms of their effectiveness, in terms of their utility, they are always outclassed by other SSRs. So I'm going to get them started first. Now, Hilda is terrible. She is the worst of the SRs. Please don't use her unless you truly have to. Next, we have Pepper. She's a good healer, not a great healer. Strong early game in terms of providing some passive healing, especially if you can unlock her 1-star. But beyond that, if you want to truly have a healer, I would look elsewhere. We have Ine. Ine is the hardest hitting and really the most useful out of all the SRs. She has good shatter, she has good damage, and if you have to use an SR, use her. Next we have Bai Ling. She's a physical damage element, so she does bring that Grievous debuff to the table. So early game, a really strong pairing is Bai Ling and Ine. So Bai Ling able to use that discharge to put Grievous on targets, and then flipping over to Ine to really just mash him into the ground with her big hammer. So those two, great early tandem. Then we have Echo. Echo is the first SR that you get. She's very middle of the road, very balanced. She does okay damage, she has okay stats, and she's truly just okay. So that wraps up the SRs. Let's talk about the SSRs. So let's start things off with our boy King. King is an S tier 100%. This is the best shatter in the game. Hands down, he has incredibly strong AoEs, he has very good damage over time, and he only gets better as you invest into him. Next up is our limited banner character, Nemesis. Again, she is an S tier. I was incredibly wrong, very mistaken by putting her as a B tier in our pre-launch tier list. But hey, as I've gone through, I've lived, I've learned, and she is a fantastic character. Very much a Swiss Army knife, very good at healing, very good at damage, great at utility. Her Volt Resonance that she brings, which is a passive effect that increases Volt damage and Volt resistance, is unreal, especially compared with the hardest hitting character in the game, which is Samir. Samir has the highest damage output, hands down. Her aerial attacks are unmatched. She has incredibly high damage output, even at 0 stars, and she only gets better as you invest into her. And because she pairs so well with Nemesis, that increases her damage even more with that Volt Resonance. So this right here, this top trio, this is your best team in terms of PVE content. If you have these three, you're going to be able to push through anything you want. Bygone Phantasm, World Bosses, Ruins, whatever you want in terms of PVE, these three will get the job done. High shatter, healing and damage, way high damage. So if you got those three, you're set. So let's keep things moving along and let's talk Coco. So Coco is an A tier character. She's a strong healer. I like this fact that her skill is very cast and forget. You don't have to worry about it. She's a great alternative to Nemesis in terms of being a support character. If you invest enough into her through her awakening traits, which is by giving gifts to her, then she also will eventually unlock the ability to increase damage for you and nearby allies. So she becomes this sort of pure support character where she can heal you and your party, she can buff you and your party. So there's a whole lot that she can do, but the problem is she takes a lot of investment to reach that potential. So next up is Crow. Crow is a great alternative to Samir. He deals a ton of damage. He's one of the coolest looking characters in my opinion. But his problem is he has a positioning requirement. You have to be behind targets to really see his full potential. And because of that, he does fall down into the A category. Then we have Meryl. Meryl is a fantastic tank. She also has the second highest shatter in the game just behind King, and because of that, she's in the A tier. As you go through and invest into her, you can see here strong at 1C. She gets even more shatter, and she gets the ability to regain health. Then we have Zero. Zero is a great utility character. His damage is very mediocre, but he does provide a steady stream of heals. He provides damage buffs at a certain point. I think it's 5 or 6 stars. He starts dropping damage orbs for your party. And he has the ability to shield yourself and the raid team. And because of that, you can block spike damage and you can survive otherwise pretty devastating boss attacks. Now, you could AFK farm with him. It's a little janky, to be honest with you, but that is something that's possible as well. Next, we have Shiro. Shiro is in the B category. Now, the reason she's in the B category is a few things. She's kind of an interesting character. So she doesn't quite deal as much damage as Crow or Samir. She doesn't have as much shatter as Meryl or King, but she does have the physical damage element. So she is able to debuff targets. So she's actually a pretty good pairing if you want to be a support team. So if you want to have Coco, Zero, and Shiro, that's actually a pretty strong setup. You have a healer, you have utility with shields, and you have a debuffer right here. So she isn't going to top charge, she isn't going to, blow the doors off of anything, but she will bring some stuff to the table that other characters don't have. But like you can see here, it does require investment. You do need to get multiple copies of her. Then we have Huma. So Huma is a good tank, and I believe at 6 stars, she probably is a better tank than Meryl. The problem is, Meryl has more utility right out of the gate, which is why Huma gets pushed down to a B. Meryl has very strong shatter, and at 1 star, she has the ability to regain health and even further increase her shatter. Huma gains shields, which is great. So that is something that is incredibly helpful. And if you are somebody who wants to be a pure tank character, you want to have, aggro, you want to be able to shield yourself, you want to be able to just, kind of be that warrior or that paladin, Huma is a good alternative and a good one to pick. So next up is Tsubasa. Tsubasa is a good character. She doesn't have a strong amount of damage or anything like that, but the reason she's a B is because she does bring some really good damage buffs to the table, especially at 1 star. She gives a nice 15% damage increase. But once you start investing into her, and once you give her gifts and unlock her awakening traits, that's when things get very different. That's when you start to see a lot of value to her. Reason being is she unlocks 2 passives. Now, if you get both of these passives, then that's a 25.5% attack stat increase. That stacks on top of the 15% damage increase that you already have with her 1 star. So being able to go through and invest heavily into her and max her out, she's going to be an incredibly powerful damage buffer. And that's why a lot of people, myself included, like using her. She truly has a lot of potential, but unfortunately, you have to invest heavily into her to truly see it. So that's why she is in the B category. So everyone, that is our 1.0 1 weekend tier list. Please let me know what you think in the comment section below. Who would you move? Who would you adjust? Do you have that perfect meta team at the very top? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like Tower Fantasy content, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps the channel a ton. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been Vulkan, and I'll talk to you all next time.